From the creators who brought you RuPaul's Drag Race and $1 Million Listing, this is World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome to this week's edition of the Wow Report, where we count down the top 10 things this past week that made us go wow. I'm Fenton Bailey, co-founder of World of Wonder. Delighted, thrilled, honored to be joined once again by Wow Report editor James St. James.
That's me. And we have we've lost Tom once again. I'm sorry to say, 2 episodes per year is what he's logging in. I is what seems to be the case, because now
I heard he gets 40,000 an episode.
We have with us our millennial producer Blake Jacobs joining in as guest host.
Hello.
So it's an intimate little show. It's on team, as they may say, if we were in France. But welcome. So let's jump into the countdown. Number 10, James.
Number 10.
My new obsession, I'm loving the show, is Medici the Magnificent on Netflix. It's sort of it's about the infamous banking family, medieval banking family of Italy in the 1400s, and it's sort of a multi-generational show. It's very Game of Thrones. It's very it's 3 seasons. It was from 2016 to 2020 or 2019. I don't know how they didn't get more attention. I don't know why it wasn't given Emmy love or anything.
It's like a humdinger of a juicy story. It's a bit like what was the other one that they had?
The Borgias. There was the Borgias. Yeah. Yes, and it's very much the same. It's you don't think that this show about this banking family, I mean, they are all just who knew that the Medicis were all swarthy, lusty, handsome men who were just they're so handsome. The first season, it's Dustin Hoffman and Richard Madden, who was in Game of Thrones. He was Robb Stark in Game of Thrones, and he was in The Bodyguard. I don't know if you watched The Bodyguard. It was so handsome, so wonderful. It's him and his brother Lorenzo, and then the second season is the next generation, and it's Daniel Sharman, who was so good on Teen Wolf. He's so handsome. And I'm just a fool for a man in a doublet. I love a doublet and livery and those high collars with the little pleated ruffles. Be still my heart. I go absolutely bananas.
I see you in one of those collars. In fact, there's a beautiful picture of you, isn't there?
I have a ruff on in something, yes. But these medieval outfits that they have, they're so good. And all these men are in capes. They're all swishing about. So good. Anyway, it's absolutely fantastic. And there's lots of subplots about usury notes and bank liens and things like that who really cares? But the costumes and the men are fabulous enough to carry you through.
But didn't the Medicis basically sponsor the Renaissance? Weren't they the patrons of all the artists of?
Yeah, what happened is that they bought their a papacy. They bought the Pope, and the Pope in the Vatican. All the money from that, they went through the Medici Bank. So they were flushed with money that no other banker was having in Europe during that period. And so Cosimo Medici was the one who built the dome in Florence and realized the flying buttresses, that was the way to do it. And he was very much an artist and a patron of the arts and a patron of Donatello and I think Botticelli, I'm not sure. But so there's all of that. He was very much for the artist, but at the same time there was lots of wheeling and dealing, and it's very like Succession in the Middle Ages.
Perfect description, right? And it's set in Florence, isn't it? So I imagine the whole thing looks sumptuous.
Oh, really, the cinematography is unbelievable. It's so beautiful. It's all filmed in the actual places, where these things happen, and like I said, fabulous fashion, fabulous cinematography, fabulous boys, and it's something to really sort of sink your teeth into. It's really fabulous.
One last question. How does it compare to Versailles?
Oh, well, that's interesting because I guess Versailles is 100 years later. Probably this is
Right.
still we're still in the early Middle Ages here, whereas Versailles is is the
Right. But you
flowering.
saw did you see the series? Because it's lots of sort of historical
Yes.
romping and fucking and,
Yes, and there's the hot gay brother, the drag
Yes!
queen brother. Yes, yeah, I do love it. That's a bit more flowery with the big puffy shirts and the ruffles and all that stuff, and the men in the high heels and the wigs and all. This is. We aren't quite at that period in time yet, but it's a lot of this. It's a lot of the same drama. Yeah,
Awesome. So that's the Medicis, right? On Netflix.
yeah. Medici the Magnificent.
Medici the Magnificent. I love it. J'adore. Number 9. Blake. 9.
Number 9.
I just wanted to go over a few hot topics, some headlines.
Oh yeah.
Well, recently we lost Tawny Kitaen.
Oh,
80s.
what a loss! What a loss to the world. Yes, God bless her.
I know, 80s super video vixen. She might have invented video vixens, right?
She was the one rolling around on the car hood, right? Wasn't that
Rolls
her big
Royce?
thing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
White Snake. Because she was dating she was dating the lead singer of White Snake, I believe. Well, she passed away, and
How old
her
was she?
59.
She was only
young.
59. Bless her heart.
Yeah, her father had just died, and her brother is saying that he thinks she died of a broken heart because they were super close, and he talked to her the night before, and she seemed fine. It was like right before Mother's Day, so just really sucks. Rest in perfection, Tawny Kitaen.
What did she die of? Do we know, or was it just? It was literally her heart just gave out because she was so sad.
That's what her brother's saying. We all know she had a history of, of drug and alcohol abuse. She, in fact, was on like the Dr. Drew thing.
Rehab stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and her brother seems to think that she was in a good place and that wasn't what was going on. But
it's like Alexander McQueen, and it was on a couple of weeks after his mother passed away is when he took his life, and there are it's just grief is a very profound thing, and it's sad that she anyway.
It's a weird thing too, grief, isn't it? It's not like a constant feeling. It's sort of
it comes in waves, definitely. Yeah,
totally. Yeah, especially when you're alone, and yeah. Another sad news this week.
Great.
The Cog Destroyers broke up.
Oh, good God in heaven. Is that the saddest thing on the planet? God, I love them so much.
What do you think went down?
Well, you saw from that she overheard a conversation that Sophie overheard Rebecca overheard Sophie talking shit about her, and so then she unfollowed her, and then she went online and said that it's friendships aren't what you think they are. There was a lot happening, but it's just they're two lovely women, and
I know
we don't know whose side to take, or we don't know if there was any bad guys in it. Anyway, yeah. Fenton, are you a big Cock Destroyer fan?
I'm a huge Cock Destroyer fan. They actually came into the office
really
right before the pandemic. It was, I think, one of the last in-person meetings we had. Such an honor with the Cock Destroyers. And Matthew Camp came with them as well.
Wow.
It was just a lovely meeting. Maybe time will heal the wounds, and maybe there's a reconciliation. That would be lovely.
Maybe it's all for, show, and they just want to break up just so they can make up.
Oh, well, that would be lovely.
That wouldn't it? Last bit of news. It's not sad, but it is strange. Have you guys heard that there's another celebrity boxing thing? And Lamar Odom is going to be versus your boy, Aaron Carter.
No, really?
Yes, and there's going
Lamar
to be
Odom versus Aaron Carter. I don't even see that as being that's a knockout in the first 10 seconds, isn't it?
right. It's TMZ is reporting that they're both sparring very hard and working very hard towards this, and Ice-T is supposed to give us colorful commentary.
Well, what with this whole Logan Paul thing and Mayweather,
I know.
I can't even get into. It's too heterosexual for me. I don't know.
Yeah, totally. Well, it's in 4 more weeks, so set your DVRs, I guess.
Carrot
If you
Bottom,
care.
are you paying attention to the world of boxing?
I don't know, but I can't see Aaron Carter making it through.
Right? Poor little Aaron Carter.
I know.
He was a singer and an OnlyFans star, and now he's a boxer, all just like this year,
He was
right?
bisexual for a day, remember?
Yeah.
Poor little little
I do
pedal
love
boy.
that single he had.
Aaron's
Aaron's
Party.
right?
Yeah. And then his I Want Candy remake.
Oh,
I want candy.
All right. Number 8.
Number 8.
I had the strangest dream in the early hours of this morning. I dreamt I was going to a kibbutz. I was on the bus going to a kibbutz to look at an art show, and it was an art show of robot art. And we arrived there. I get off the coach at the kibbutz, and I'm about to walk into the gallery of robot art, and I realize I don't have my mask on. And as I'm fumbling for my mask, I wake up, and that's the end of a dream. So I wonder, though, because this weekend, Julian's, Julian's who do the auctions, the celebrity auction stuff. This weekend, Julian's are auctioning off 1,000 items of Janet Jackson's.
Oh,
They're doing a big Janet Jackson auction.
Yeah.
She's getting rid of everything, and she's raising
getting
money
rid of her the tour or the jackets from the what is the big song where she's in the jacket?
Well, she had quite a few big songs, really.
No.
Control.
Oh, you mean all in the army fatigue?
Rhythm
Nation.
Rhythm Nation. Yeah, she's getting rid of her Rhythm Nation jacket.
She's also getting rid of the jacket she wore in the Scream video, which she did with Michael.
Oh,
which is one
yes,
of my
that
favorite videos.
And is he Miyake?
Yes, I love that song. I love
or
that
Yoji Yamamoto.
Yes.
What about the titty patch?
Right.
That strangely has not been mentioned. She's getting rid of her 1956.
Can we talk celebrity auctions for a minute? I didn't know where to go with this, whether we want to talk about robot art, going without masks, or celebrity auctions. And I'm going to go with celebrity auctions here because also there's 2 other celebrity auctions this week that are of note. Kurt Cobain's 6 strands of his hair are being auctioned off.
Fascinating.
And also there's a big auction at Christie's or Sotheby's of Napoleon Bonaparte's, all of his belongings, a lot of his belongings. And one of his belongings was a necklace made of his hair. So you can either get Kurt Cobain or Napoleon Bonaparte's hair. And also some of his fabulous, linens and china, really fabulous.
And maybe there's a strand or 2 of Janet Jackson's hair to be had. Look, I have the catalog here. It is a 3-volume masterpiece of Janet Jackson, and then you open it up, and it has a screen inside with a video message that plays.
That is so amazing.
The invitation where she talks about wanting to get rid of all her stuff, and it's like, etc., etc. I mean,
how much did you pay for that?
Well, I didn't. Billy bought it, so I don't know. I kind of don't want to know. But it's going to sit next to the Michael, because Julian's also did the Michael Jackson auction that never actually ended up happening, and I have the catalog for that. So,
hey, but can we veer off for another second about the robot art, which I think is there's a lot to dig into there.
I know.
But did you see in the news that robots are learning how to sweat? That's this new to a lot of AIs and everything take up a lot of energy, and they tend to overheat. And so scientists have learned to, instead of overheating, that they give off water. They put some water in the computer, and that it sweats when it starts to overheat, and that's how it can make the AIs can be smarter and smarter, and we can move towards synchronicity.
Well, and I guess if you're going to have sex with a robot, which something always in Matt Judge's column, it's always like he's always putting in robot sex articles. But I guess if you get a robot that's sweating, that's going to be better sex than a robot.
Well,
that's
maybe
not.
we can have self-lubricating robots.
There you go. Exactly. But the weird thing about that, James, was like, why would I go to a kibbutz? Number one. Number two, robot art. What? And then, but it must have been some premonition about Janet Jackson's auction, or it must have been on my mind in some strange way.
But at some point, I wonder, you talk about how robots can write songs better than actual people and write books and it's, robot art is going to be a thing at some point, robot NFTs.
Well, it is a little bit of a digression, but actually I've been listening to this thing about exoplanets, which are these planets that are like Earth in the solar system and other galaxies. And the whole preoccupation is the search for life. Does life exist? And someone came on and said something so profound. Maybe this is why. The person said, there may not be flesh and blood life. What's more likely is there is electrical life. And I was like, that's interesting, because didn't we invent electricity? And of course, stupid me. No, of course we didn't invent electricity. We just discovered its properties. So electricity, the likelihood of electric life is...
What is electric
and my point
life?
here, where I'm going with this, and then we'll go to a break, is the idea that I think there's a good chance that humans will evolve ourselves out of the equation, and that we will have replaced ourselves with robots and electrical... What have you?
That's that whole argument that when the robots do become sentient or do become smarter than humans, they will just either see us as cockroaches and mice and pestilence to be erased, or we are going to be slaves. At no point, or pets. We are pets or pestilence or slaves. We are not going to be their equals, and they're going to be much. At a certain point, they're going to want to eradicate us.
That's right. There's just an article, actually, I was going to talk about this too, where says that it's official that we now live in our phones, that we live in our phones more than we live with our loved ones or our families. And I always remember you, James, coming into my office once saying, get your head out of that computer, take it out of your ass and talk to me. Because
we talk about people holding on to things for 30 years and such. And
that was not a microaggression. That was me
years ago.
That was me rolling on my back with my legs in the air for you to tickle my tummy. That was a submission. That was not a microaggression. That was like, James, forgive me, please.
Oh, that's funny.
Maybe we should take a break. Have you got a question?
I do. What is, in terms of like animal extinctions, what is the extinction capital of the world?
That's a fascinating question. Listen to the WoW Report on Radio Andy. We'll be right back with the answer after the break.
You're listening to World of Wonders WoW Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to the WoW Report. I'm Fenton here with James, St. James, and Blake. I forgot to mention that Drag Race España's official air date, May 30th on WoW Presents Plus, of course, worldwide, excluding Spain, where it's on the Artres Player Premium. There you go. Now we had a question for the break.
Yeah, I asked, like, in terms of animal extinctions, what is the extinction capital of the world?
I'm going to have to say China, probably where they hunt they hunt animals to extinction more frequently than other places.
Is it a city or a country?
Neither.
Oh,
it's just a region?
Maybe Africa.
No, it's Hawaii.
What? Why?
Yeah. Well, let me explain in number 7.
Oh,
Okay.
oh, it's a tease. Well, we've reached number 7. We're counting down the top 10 things that make us go wow. 10, 9, 8. Blake, number 7.
Number 7.
Last night I watched a hot short doc on my favorite streaming service besides Wow Presents Plus, Discovery Plus. And it's called Feral. It's about the loads of feral cats they have loose in Hawaii. Have you heard? Did you guys know about this?
I've heard about this. Yes, I have heard that Hawaii is a feral cat capital of the world.
Okay, well, this is okay. Hawaii was formed from volcanoes, we all know, millions of years ago, over millions of years. So there are no animals on Hawaii, on the islands.
Everything had to be brought in. Yes,
right.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And there's 3 ways: the sea, wind, or they fly in. For the longest time, there were only monk seals and bats. Those were the only mammals.
Huh.
So the reason it's the extinction capital of the world is because it's so fragile. Like all these species, they form species, and that's why it's so special and vulnerable.
Because they are indigenous to Hawaii, so that they can come and go at the drop of a hat.
Right, and over 50% of all extinctions in the world are in Hawaii.
Huh.
Yeah. Like for example, there are 445 bird species in Hawaii until humans arrived, and 95 of those are now extinct.
Really?
Yeah. 33 of those on the endangered list, and 10 of the 33 haven't been seen in decades. So pretty much there's only anyway.
Huh. So is this because of man coming to the island? Is that what you're saying?
Well, it's a lot of it. It's just, man coming, and there's people that are conservationists, and they want to conserve the land to how it was, like there are these little birds. They're called seabirds, I think. And they bury themselves in the sand. Well, there's so many feral cats that they are killing these seabirds. Oh. And they're teaching all their kittens to hunt the seabirds, and the seabirds are going extinct. Another thing that's going extinct are the monk seals, and that is because of, have you guys ever heard of toxoplasma?
Okay, sure.
Is it some kind of algae?
It is found in cat fecal matter.
Okay.
And it does something really weird. In rats, it makes them switch desire and fear. So instead of whenever the cats crap, the mice will eat it. They get this toxoplasma. It switches their fear to desire. So now they smell cat urine, and instead of running away from it, they actually go to it.
And then the cats kill them.
Right. And for the longest time, they didn't think that this toxoplasma, which lives in cat guts, it can only reproduce there. They didn't think that it was really a big deal for humans. But they're finding now that people that have that are more likely to get into bad car accidents.
Wait a minute! If I start eating cat poo, am I gonna mix up my desire and my fear?
It also said 1 in 3 people already has this toxoplasma.
1 in 3 people are eating cat poo.
So 1 of the 3, no, not necessarily, but it gets contaminated.
I know that pregnant women are not supposed to clean out the cat box, right? If you're pregnant, don't clean out the cat box because it's toxic.
And there's so many feral cats. There's so many feral cats that these monk seals, it's getting in the seawater, and they're getting sick from this.
Now, this is a good show that Tom Campbell is not on, because basically what you're arguing for is exterminating all the feral cats, and Tom would be not happy with that.
So there's people fighting, two people that would normally be on the same side. There are animal welfare people who are for mass sterilization of the cats, catch them, neuter them, release them. And then there are conservationists who think that they should just eradicate and kill all the cats to preserve, the native species. So that's the big.
I'm more interested in how you can sort of distill this toxic plasma or plasma toxo or whatever, and weaponize it. How you can use that in war. How you can turn fear into desire, or desire.
So my fear of you, James, would turn into irrepressible desire.
Well, no, but I'm wondering if you could make a bomb out of it, and all the people who are afraid suddenly start fucking in the streets, and
that would.
I think there's a whole science fiction novel in that.
It's true. But it's called Feral. It's on Discovery Plus. It's only 30 minutes. You can totally do it. I loved it.
Huh.
Okay. James, number 6.
Number 6.
Number 6. I was going to talk about Jupiter's Legacy, but I'm not going to talk about that anymore. I want to talk about the breaking news this week about Ellen giving up the show after 19 seasons. I think that's a case of cancel culture actually canceling someone. You talk about how people can just apologize for what they do and move on, and I think that she really it really did affect her. Maybe all the people turning on her. What do you think about it, Fem?
Well, the audience did decline, right? And she's had an amazing run. Like, I think to do a show like that must be actually quite hard work. And after 19 seasons, maybe she's just ready for something else regardless,
But will anybody give her the chance to do something else, or is she just going to take her money and fade into the background?
Well, if it was me, and it's not me, and it's not, I would take the money and run, because, who needs... I mean, my God.
I just read today that she has a development deal with Discovery on top of shows on Fox. And then she has that ABC Game of Games. And then she also has the HBO furniture design show. So she's not...
Yeah, she'll probably move into more of a producer role, maybe not be in front of the camera as much. But I was reading an article today, and Twitter sort of was chiming in about how it was sort of a Rosie O'Donnell syndrome, where why can't they just let mean lesbians be mean lesbians? Why do mean lesbians have to pretend to be the queen of nice when Rosie O'Donnell was not the queen of nice? She was a sharp-tongued comedian, but she had to play the role where she had the Hillary Clinton hair and the Chanel suits and had to be in love with Tom Cruise, and she had to do all of that to be a success on daytime. And that's Ellen DeGeneres is her comedy was always very snarky, and she had to be the queen of nice in order to be successful.
Why? So what you're saying is society-wide homophobia has forced,
exactly
made them be what they aren't necessarily naturally.
Why can't we just let them be sharp-tongued comedians? And why do they have to conform to our idea? Why do they have to be soft and cuddly in order to be a success? Why can't we just let these...
James, I think that's so true. Absolutely. Because there's nothing more delicious than a barbed comment, right? I mean, it's just so fabulous.
But we remember how
Ellen really was the queen of nice, though.
But we know she isn't. We knew all along that was just a persona she was putting on to be successful, because that really wasn't what her comedy was. And it's the same thing with Rosie. Like, it was very strange when Rosie was so cuddly and sweet and nice, because she never was that person. And we saw once she was on The View that's who she really was. And God bless her. And that's, be yourself and we'll still love you. But first, for people to make their millions, they have to conform to, and they can't be threatening gay people is I guess what it comes down to.
I mean, Rosie O'Donnell was famous before the show, though.
Yeah, and so was Ellen. Ellen had the Ellen show.
It was just to become mega famous. They had to become America's sweetheart almost.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, I think she's had an amazing run. I think she's amazing. So, and as you say, Blake. You know, she's a media mogul, so she probably doesn't have to worry. You know, the other thing she's done, she's bought and sold a lot of houses. She's a real genius.
That's where the money really is. She started in Hancock Park here. Remember when she was with Anne, and they bought that first starter house, and she flipped that, and she has been flipping for 25 years.
It was a gorgeous house. I mean, just gorgeous. I was like, why would you want to flip this and leave? But like I guess
now she's in Santa Barbara with her $120 million houses, and they just keep getting bigger and bigger and more fabulous.
Well, good for her. My earpiece fell out. Hazards of aging. Bits of you just start falling off. Speaking of robots. So at number 5.
Number 5.
James, do you ever read the website Messy Nessie?
No, tell me about it.
Oh, messynessiechic.com is my favorite.
Oh, I do know what it is. Yes, keep on. Yeah.
They have such fascinating articles. And the other day, I mean, I should do a whole thing about Messy Nessie at some other time. But the other day, I read one about Biba. Have I ever bored you shitless about Biba before?
Well, I do know of your obsession with Biba and Biba wallpaper and Biba the patterns. Yes. That we talked about.
Y'all are still into Biba?
Oh shit, yes. Biba was a boutique in the 60s, swinging 60s, but then in the hated decade of the 70s, which I think was a genius decade. But anyway, in like 1973, they opened Big Biba, and they took over an old department store and just turned it into an emporium of disco deco. It was just peach tinted mirrors and ostrich feathers, and everything was very dark, and the whole thing was built like a theme park, and in the basement was the food hall where they had all their own Biba branded foods, and in the top floor was the Rainbow Room where the New York Dolls played, David Bowie played, this beautiful Art Deco ballroom. And then the ground floor, what was so intriguing, on the ground floor, instead of the windows showing merchandise, they put seats. So you could just sit and watch people on High Street Kensington. And I spent
it was a combination of Danceteria and Andy Warhol's factory, but done in sort of a boho chic store. Yeah.
And then the sort of Art Deco revival. And for some reason, it must be something to do with like kibbutzes and robot art shows. I have some primeval connection with Art Deco. I love Art Deco. You know, in fact, if I just turn my thing a little bit, there's my Biba lamp. Whoops. There you go.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, woman standing naked with a thingy. Oh, and the other thing I have, and I don't know if I should even share this because it's politically a bit dodgy, but is a box of Biba soap flakes. These are from 1975, which is what?
Wait, 25, why is this politically
46 years old? Well,
why
it's
is
a little
soap
Aunt
flakes?
Jemima-y, the representation. Maybe we should show the back's got a feral cat. That's better. So I actually bought these in the Biba food hall in 1975.
Wait, what are soap flakes? What's a soap flake?
Soap flakes are like flakes of soap, and you put them in to wash clothes. But this is before washing machines and what have you, James.
Oh, like laundry detergent.
Yes, but flakes, not powder. That's all.
Okay.
And they had baked beans, and oh my gosh, it was insane.
They had laundry detergent, darling, laundry detergent, and baked beans. It was all about the baked beans in the 1970s. Yes, the boho chic baked beans.
It's about the wrapping. It was all about packaging and black and gold, and it was this whole idea. You see, it was pre-Ralph Lauren. It was very much the idea of a retail environment as some kind of immersive place, as opposed to just go and buy a pair of underwear. It was like, darling, you're entering a whole fantasy.
Well, it does. It's very Warholian. It's very much that.
Oh, James, I think you would have loved Biba. You might have walked in and said, what is this place? But anyway, it was very dark. And as a result, everyone was always shoplifting. And in 1975, when the recession hit the UK, the whole thing went bankrupt. The big Biba store, this amazing, huge emporium, was only open for like 5 months. Interesting fact, Barbara Hulanicki was the founder of Biba. And she, after that collapse, moved to Miami, South Beach, where she played a hand basically in reviving all the Art
Really?
Deco hotels that are along the Collins Drive there on Ocean
Yeah,
Drive.
yeah.
Sorry,
Oh,
Ocean
how
Drive.
interesting.
Yeah.
Those, I mean, it's so amazing. I lived in South Beach for about 6 months in early 90s, right as the it was all starting to come up again. And all the Raleigh and all of those hotels were still abandoned, and you could go into them and look and run around and play in them.
That's right, James. Randy and I were brought down there to do something about, like, some hotel was renovating and they brought
The
us
Delano,
down.
maybe. I think it was the Delano and the Raleigh, and yeah.
And we had the most amazing Lewis. I wish I could remember his name.
Oh, I remember Lewis from the Wire magazine. Yes,
Yes,
Lewis.
Camaro.
Lewis, I remember him. Yeah,
but you could rent an apartment on Ocean Drive for like $75 a month, an oceanfront apartment right next door to all these abandoned old. I mean, you could buy one for like 75 grand. Like,
oh, yeah. I mean, it was amazing, and there was all the sex parks and stuff.
I wouldn't
crazy.
know about that.
At
I was in
Biba,
love with the elegance and the glamour, James.
From the windows, you sat and watched the people shop, or you sat and watched the people walk by?
You sat and watched the people walk by. You
Oh,
were in the window.
Okay.
We're time hopping all over the place here.
You know, Biba was a little like area, I think, in a way. Except instead of a nightclub, it was a store that was open regular hours. But it was a little like area. The whole thing was designed and curated.
It sounds a bit like Tiger Morse. Tiger Morse is what was it in the 60s? She had the psychedelic shop on the Upper East Side that she curated, all the paper dresses and all that.
Is definitely a precursor, definitely a pioneer of this sort of retail. What is the word? But retail fantasy, I suppose. Really, I mean, I suppose maybe it's not that complicated. But anyway, we'll post the link to the article on Messy Nessie. We'll go to a break. I'll just let you know that Vojnarovic, fuck you, faggot fucker, is available on video on demand. And you just go to kinonow.com. I really recommend it. Blake, do you have a question?
I do. This one kind of goes to your next topic. I kind of thought you'd have already done it by now, but we'll talk about it later. Alec Kashishian directed Madonna's Truth or Dare, which is 30 years old this year. Who was originally going to direct Madonna's Truth or Dare?
Oh, you know this, Fenton?
Finally, I know an answer to one of these goddamn questions. I'm so happy. All right, I will reveal the answer after the break. You're listening to the Wow Report on Radio Andy.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to the Wow Report on Radio Andy. Tom is away this week. We have James St. James, and in Tom's place, Blake Jacobs.
Hi.
So it's an intimate little show.
And I had a question. I did. We're going to be talking about Madonna's Truth or Dare, which turns 30 this year. Alec Kashishian directed Madonna's Truth or Dare, but who was originally supposed to direct Madonna's Truth or Dare?
Was it Scorsese? Who was it? Fenton?
It was
Fenton.
David Fincher.
Yes.
Oh, wow. And David Fincher at that time was only doing music videos, right? Is that where he got his start?
I think that's right. I do believe that's right.
Well, didn't David Fincher do all the 9 Inch Nails videos? Isn't that where he? Yeah.
And then he did the movie Seven, which is one of my all-time favorite horror movies.
Right. Yeah.
Or suspense. Yeah.
Huh.
Well, since we're here, shall I just do number 4?
Number 4.
Madonna's Truth or Dare turns 30. James, did you go to the premiere of Madonna's Truth or Dare, perhaps the greatest rock documentary of all time?
No, but I think I was there opening night. I think I stood in line to opening night to watch it. I wasn't at the premieres, but it really, I mean, it changed you. It opened up doors in your head that you didn't know were there.
Alec Kashishin directed it after David Fincher, I guess, dropped out. I'm not quite sure why he was supposed to do it. And it was supposed to be originally just a more straightforward concert film. But apparently Alec was the one who decided to do all this behind-the-scenes shenanigans, which was such a, just reading this article in The Guardian, I think, that was sort of celebrating its 30th year, saying, that actually at the time that was quite a bold thing to do, and no one had really done that before. And however performative we may think Madonna is, and there's no question she is, there's still an incredible sort of freshness and amazingness to those scenes, I suppose largely because of the dancers. And the article makes the point that the great thing about all that was it just presented gay people as gay, not like as like, right. Ooh, gay people, gays must die, or ooh, freaks, weird. Just like, here we are. No apologies, no explanation.
She was such a great ally because it was presented not like it was a big deal or anything. I mean, it was groundbreaking and the whole the drama with Warren Beatty and then the drama with Mama Makeup, all of that. I mean, like so many scenes stay with you forever and ever.
Like when Kevin Costner
the line
came back,
about why would I want to live off of camera? Like that whole
right. Which Warren Beatty was looked like a sort of, he was pricking the bubble or sort of speaking the greater truth. And yet, actually, Warren Beatty was so wrong and so out of it. Of course, no one wants to live off camera. Of course, we're here to live on camera. Do you know what I mean? He was skewering Madonna for something that has since become
ubiquitous,
the world we live in, right?
Yeah, and it's funny though because it now Madonna, I think, is at Warren Beatty's age where he was in that, and she sort of is now. You get the feeling that she's more in league with how he was thinking. It was sort of an age, a generational thing, where I don't think that Madonna, if you did a movie about her backstage shenanigans now, it would be the same documentary.
I forget which tour it was because she's made documentaries pretty much of most tours, but there was one where there was a scene with the dancers and they were like, why don't you come play with us after the show? And she was like, because I have kids and I'm a mother and I'm, she kind of said, we don't do that anymore. Been there, done that. But oh my God, Jose and Luis, I just had such a crush on
such
them.
beautiful boys.
Just beautiful. And so, I mean, I've got to know Luis subsequently because he lives in LA and,
Do you see him? He lives in Palm Springs. Doesn't he have a dance studio there?
Yeah.
Do you see him out in Palm Springs?
Such a sweet and lovely person. But in the video, so pouty and sort of severe and just like, oh gosh,
I had a roommate who stalked Louis for 6 months and got him. He managed to land him. But everyone on the planet was after those two boys. They were so cute.
Apparently, I haven't seen the film in a long time, but apparently it really stands up.
I believe that, yeah. And remember her rolling around on her mother's grave, and then her best friend, and she was so nasty to her. Like the best friend wanted to just be friends with her again, and she was just sort of like, ugh.
Well, they did capture that aspect of her, right? Because Madonna has been kind of nasty. It's been her sort of calling card, right? And I definitely think performative, like rolling around on the grave. I just remember thinking, oh, how ridiculous. Do you know what I mean?
And but 35 years later, 30 years later, you're still remembering that. Like she knew what she was doing.
She knew what she was doing. In bed, it's called Truth or Dare, or in other parts of the world, In Bed with Madonna. Oh, and filleting the water bottle, of course.
Yes.
And swallowing, anyway. And moving on now, number 3.
Number 3.
I want to revisit Big Sky on ABC, a TV series by David E. Kelly. It takes place in Montana, and it's very interesting the way they're presenting the show. The season, they're showing it in 3 different parts. There's like 3. What
is this season 2?
No, we're still on the first season.
Okay.
But they show they'll have 6 episodes, and it's a complete story, and then they'll be off the air for 2 months, and they'll do 6 more episodes, and it's a whole new thing, and then 6. So they have 3 different parts of the season, but they have like a couple months in between, and each one is sort of self-contained, even though there is like an overarching serial killer theme.
I did see that it was just recently renewed for season 2, though.
It's really good, and there's it's very there's like I said, there's no overarching where there's Ronald, who is sort of a rapist serial killer, and he's very creepy. But right now there's another family of like there's a creepy old man, and he's got a crazy wife and 3 sons that are all killers, and they're on this ranch, and they're all sort of like vying to see who will take over the ranch when the father dies, and they're all killing each other and knocking each other and killing people and raping people and this and that. But there was something this week, there was an episode this week that really pushed the boundaries of things that are acceptable on television, and it was so creepy and upsetting and triggering that I really felt like they've gone too far, and if you watch the show, you'll know what I'm talking about. But it was very upsetting, and it's pushing boundaries. It's just fantastic.
Can you shed a little light on what the boundaries being pushed are?
It's just icky psychosexual drama that's happening, and it is one of those shows where like I said, nothing happens, and in the last 20 seconds of every show, they turn everything on its head, and everything day is night and black is white, and everything you think you don't know. He's just doing a very amazing job, and Truckers in Montana is not a show that I care that much about but they're just also creepy and weird, and I'm never going to Montana. I don't care who gives me a ranch out there.
Place I'm never going to is Easttown. My God.
Oh, that mayor. Yeah. There's something about how Jean Smart was being carried off on a stretcher, and she said, "I'm sorry, I'm not bloody enough for you," or that like everyone is quoting this line that she said, "I'm sorry, I'm not dismembered enough for you."
Jean Smart is really good. The only light relief, and even the light relief is kind of noir, kind of dark.
Anyway, all right, Big Sky. I hope everyone gives the show a chance, because it's just dark and creepy and weird.
All right, number 2, Blake.
Number 2.
Well, I've got another really dark and creepy and weird show. I have recently found again the Bad Girls Club. Remember the Bad Girls Club?
Yeah. What was it on? Was it E?
It was on Oxygen. It started in 2006, and it's where they put 7 alpha females into a house together. Basically, it's the Real World. If the Real World had a baby with Jerry Springer, it would be the Bad Girls Club.
Made by the same company, by the way, as Buna Murray, who made The Real World.
Oh, the Kardashians, sure.
Yeah.
Which I had that flag to talk about. I thought it was kind of weird that Buna. I don't know. I guess I've just always thought Buna Murray, besides World of Wonder, was like the top tier production company, like the I don't know, and and it's just weird to me that they would do this show. Is it weird?
Well, it was a huge hit, Blake, when Bad Girls Club was like defined the network, right? It was
it was a huge hit, and it spawned 17 seasons and then many spinoffs and all of this. But it just seems, I don't know, maybe I'm looking through a 2021 lens at Bad Girls Club, because another thing I had tagged to talk about it was, do you think it would get made today after like Me Too and all of that stuff? Like the most recent season, or the season that I most recently watched, was season 7 in New Orleans. And there was this one girl who would call guys that she didn't think were cool faggotes.
Oh, dear.
Meaning faggots. And Perez Hilton did the reunion, and he called her out in the reunion and gave her like a trophy for the girl he's most hated ever on this the entire series. But I was just thinking while watching it, I wonder if this show would ever even get a green light today. I doubt
so
it would.
so much TV. I mean, like, can it get made anymore? I mean, like, would the Kardashians be picked up now? I mean, like, I mean, maybe the Kardashians, but so much of television. There was a moment where you could be nasty and bitchy and evil, and you can't really do that anymore.
Yeah, I love the show. I love trash TV. So you can watch all 17 seasons on the NBC app if you would like to. I am.
It made me think that perhaps they'll bring it back.
I hope so. I mean,
how can there be 17 seasons if it started in 2006? It's like Survivor having 47 seasons. Like, how do you get 47 seasons? How can there be like 25 seasons of The Voice? We had. Is there like a break in the time-space continuum or something that they're?
Well, you do 2 a year, James. There's no rule that says you can only do 1 season a year.
I suppose. There you go. Okay.
You can watch, by the way, speaking of seasons, $1 Million Listing New York on Bravo from World of Wonder. I forget. Oh God, is it season 9? Anyway, does it? Yeah, season 9. Thursdays. 9 p.m. 8 Central, or watch the first episode right now on the Bravo app. All right, we're going to take one last break, and when we come back, we'll reveal the number one thing that made us go wow this week. You're listening to the Wow Report on Radio Andy.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
And welcome back to the Wow Report. I'm Fenton here with Jane St. James and Blake. We've been counting down the top 10 things that makes us go wow. We've reached number 1. What? It's that time. We're always like, well, what is number 1?
I know what number 1 is. Of course, I know what number 1 is.
Number 1.
Reveal.
Number 1, the return of Bennifer. It's the most exciting reunion of all time. It's so happy. Good news.
I feel like it's 2003 all over again.
Oh, everything old is new again. How I was not invested in J-Rod. I mean, A-Rod and J-Lo. I didn't care when they broke up. That meant nothing to me. But then when she suddenly, and you talk about performative, you talk about rolling around on your mother's grave, you know what's happening. They know exactly what they are doing. They are both having a career lull, and they're going to ramp that shit up. We are going to watch every minute of this reunion.
But what has happened? I missed.
Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez are back together again.
And
Fenton, where have you been?
I've been reading about Biba.
Just literally last week, she and A-Rod broke up after being together for 8 years, something like that. And all out of the blue, Ben Affleck and J-Lo were seen rolling around in a convertible together, like making out and for TMZ. Like, it was
weren't they actually in Montana or something?
Oh, they had a drug stop in Montana.
I think they were, but
they were fracking on a ranch somewhere.
There's been I heard recently that it's been going on for a little bit, like even whenever she went with A-Rod somewhere, they went on a vacation when they thought that they were going to break up. Well, apparently Ben Affleck was sending her love notes then. Trying to woo her back.
Ben Affleck was also in the news this past couple of weeks, where he was on that dating site, the what was it, the Raya.
Raya.
He was trying to pick up the girl, and she didn't believe that it was actually Ben Affleck, and he was like, "Come on, it's me, I'm Ben Affleck. Come be with me." And she's like, "Whatever," and then she got all famous for it.
And then Matthew Perry got in trouble this week because of that Raya app.
Raya, yeah.
But hang on. Ben Affleck just got back together with Jennifer Lopez.
Yeah.
While on a dating app trying to find someone else.
This is right before he got back together with Jennifer. He was all fucked up on Raya, like TikToking some girl, like, "Hey baby, I'm Ben Affleck," and she was like, "No, you aren't." And it was like, come on, DM me. And she was like, "Whatever," because she didn't believe him. She thought it was like a deep fake video or something.
But yeah, Bennifer 2.0, I'm all about it. I feel like that was like the peak of their. I haven't really cared about anyone she's been with since him.
Well, just the Jenny from the Block video, and he's like, remember he was pumping her gas, and it was, oh god, it was such a moment. It was such a vibe. It was such a mood.
Totally.
I hate to be, well, I might as well just put it out. What is Raya? Like, what does it involve?
Oh, it's a dating site for famous people. You can only be on it if you're rich and famous, and only rich and famous people hook up with other rich and famous people.
So who was the girl then? She wasn't rich or famous?
She's an influencer. She's a social media influencer.
Who decides? James, do you?
Well, I was going to say, Fenton, you obviously aren't rich and famous enough to be on Rhea. Otherwise, you would know what we were talking about. Blake and I are on it. Goodness.
Yeah. I got invited from being on this show.
Well, who knows who's hitting you up, huh? You're like,
hopefully Ben Affleck.
I know, right?
Who would turn down? I mean, literally, even fucked up Ben Affleck is still, hot, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he is a hot guy. He's just, you can't get away from it. And even when he's got that sort of Robert Downey Jr. thing where, like, the more fucked up he is, the more you just want to, like, just 3 a.m. booty call, like.
And then there's that Rod scene and that scene where you see his rod in the shower and Gone Girl.
Yes, and Gone Girl. And I like him even when he's got like the dad bod and he's sort of like all just slurring and
I just leave you to it to have an Afflecky type thing going on. Thanks for tuning into the WoW Report on Radio Andy Sirius XM. You can listen to previous episodes, watch previous episodes actually on our YouTube channel, WoW Presents. Or listen to them on the Sirius Radio app, right? We'll see you the same time, same place next week. Until then, go out and do something that makes the world go wow. Like get vaccinated.